What is up, geeks and geekettes? It's another episode of the Countdown to the Geekcast. My name is Steady. This guy over here, he's the one and only Jericho.
Yo, what's up, y'all? And
And we
then
also got
my little
Rem,
one, Remy.
Remy LeBode.
There he is, like that.
What's going on, man? How's it going?
Good, good. How are you doing?
Fantastic. I'm wearing my Superboy shirt, and
Nice.
it is fitting because today, we are talking all about the Young Justice Phantoms finale. We're actually
Dun,
be talking
dun,
about the
dun.
last two episodes. So, for those of you who are totally caught up, we are watching, not watching, what? We are talking all about the final two episodes of Young Justice Phantoms, aka Young Justice Season 4. Arguably the best season of all of the seasons. Would you agree? Is this your favorite
Oh,
season? What's your favorite
yes.
season?
No, honestly, yeah,
Really?
it is because there's we'll talk about it, but there's just so much that's gone on, and I feel like they really amped it up this season,
Oh my
and that
gosh.
finale, like this finale, was just holy cow compared to all
Killer.
the other seasons. Oh, mm-mm.
Killer. That's not all we're going to be talking about today. I'm going to be catching Jericho up with Superman and Lois. We're going to be doing a Superman and Lois recap. This week is the finale
hmm
of season 2, right? Season 2?
Yeah, season
Yeah.
two.
And yeah, I would say it's such a feel good show. Like we'll get into it when we start talking about it, but like you can go away from it and come back and it's like the same pace, the same sort of
hmm
steady tone, steady pace. Every episode is sort of like that. There's not too many characters, Um and yeah, we'll get into that. So, two DC Comics shows we're watching, arguably the best DC Comics shows this year. Because
Oh yeah.
yeah, some of the
Well,
other
in a
ones I
while.
don't know. I don't know what they're doing.
Whatever do you mean?
Well, they're canceling half of them, and then the ones that are still
Yeah,
around, it I just like I have no idea what's going on. I
and
try
not
and
just
watch it.
canceling, but then bringing out like Gotham Knights, and
Oh,
I'm like, come on,
what are you doing? What are you doing, Warner Brothers? What are you doing?
that's ridiculous.
They get so many things right. There's like the Harley Quinn animated series,
Yep.
Young Justice, to get out of the way, let them do their thing. And then there's other things where like you can clearly tell um Gotham City Knights or Gotham Knights, sorry, Gotham Knights
Whatever it's called. Yeah.
is like somebody told them you can't use that guy, 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 or
Yep.
that guy. Yeah. You can't talk about this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy.
And
I'm
let's
pretty
make
like
let's make every character the kids of Batman and like all the villains. They'll be best friends, right? Yeah, like they'll help each other out somehow.
it's so weird. I don't know what's happening with that.
Like
I've
I'd
never
rather
not
watch the live action
ooh.
Powerpuff Girls that still hasn't completed. I don't even know if it's gone anywhere now at this point.
Oh, they shelved
Like,
it.
they did shelve it after all? Okay.
Yeah. I
Like,
mean
I'd rather watch that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
that was the last thing that was said is that they shelved the entire project because the writing was like the absolute worst. Like it was just a 7-year-old wrote the script and the dialogue
Wow.
was so bad. I don't even want to say some of the things that they were saying. Like it was really odd some of the content that was being said. It
Mm.
was like way too out of left field. Some of it was like way too mature for like their
Oh,
target
wow.
audience. It was just like, what are y'all doing?
I
I
didn't
don't
even know how the
know.
show was gonna work, you know?
I had no idea either. I thought like this is a big challenge. Like if you could pull this off, more power to you. But
Yeah.
no power to the Powerpuff Girls. So Oh,
Boo.
should we start talking about the stuff that we're going to talk about?
I guess so, yeah.
I guess why we're here, so we might as well. All right. I'm gonna do these summaries separate because there's a ton of stuff to go
Yeah,
into, and then we can just talk about each one individually. We're gonna start with episode 25, Over and Out. We open on Trombus, where Lord Zod has just released his father, General Zod. The boom tube temporarily closed while General Zod travels to Earth carrying Superboy. Lord Zod takes them to the Fortress of Solitude, where Connor begins to heal, and General Zod waits for his army. Nightwing and team, still in the Phantom Zone, fight off the remaining Kryptonians wanting to pass through the boom tube. As Nightwing passes through to the fortress, he is defeated by Lord Zod, and from the looks of it, dies from being crushed by an ice statue which once stood in the fortress. The rest of the YJ squad prevents the remaining Zod forces from crossing the boom tube as it starts to collapse. The team makes it out, except for one, Rocket, who is nowhere to be seen. Superman, Black Lightning, McGann, and others use the bioship to travel back to Earth and locate Zod in the Fortress of Solitude. As the bioship approaches, they are attacked by Ursa Zod, who now possesses the power of the Emerald Empress. Clark confronts Zod and is unwilling to kneel before him. He is attacked with the kryptonite that Nightwing once possessed. Zod takes Clark, Connor, Ursa, and Ma'alafalak to downtown Metropolis, where he can broadcast the death of Superman and put his power over Superboy on display. The episode ends with Connor at the ready to snap the neck of the Man of Steel. So this episode, just about everything that could go wrong went absolutely wrong. You know what? I can't hear your audio right now.
that would be because I was on mute.
Yeah, that might do it. That might be it right there.
Yeah,
That's what they say when the mute button is on, is that no audio comes out sometimes.
that's
All
right.
right.
Pretty sure that's what it means.
Now
Oh,
now that we're past that.
good, good,
Listen,
good, good.
do you remember what I said at the beginning of this season? Like what
Mhm.
I repeated over and over and over again. I said I am deathly afraid that they're gonna kill my Dick Grayson. They're going to murder my Nightwing. And boy, was I so depressed that I was somewhat right by the end of this episode.
Yeah,
I'm like, bro, don't go into the boom tube by yourself. You got all these other like powerful friends of yours. Like you're
exactly.
the last guy that needs to be jumping after Kryptonians. But that's why he's the
Yeah,
leader, bro.
exactly.
And
Yeah,
not to mention
that
he's
was like a depressing week, like not knowing.
it was horrible. It
Mm-mm-mm.
was I mean, part of me was, part of me was definitely disappointed, but the other part of me was like, I saw this coming. I saw this coming from a mile away. I knew they would do it. I've been preparing myself like for years, waiting for this moment to happen. Um, yeah. Also, like he's not only running after Kryptonians, but he's running after Kryptonians on Earth. They are already like charging up. You know what I mean? They're already like powering up their solar cells by the yellow sun, and they're getting ready to throw down. Like the last people you want to face right now is a gang of Kryptonians that are getting their powers for the first time on planet Earth. That's the last thing you want to do. That's just my opinion right there. Let's see what else. What else? What else? What were your thoughts about this sort of final moment at the end of the episode? Uh, General Zod is pretty much like, let's just recap this whole thing right here. General Zod, who's basically has control over Superboy, and we've been trying so many different ways to sort of snap him out of it. Clark tried, other people have tried, nothing's working. The team tried, the entire team tried, nothing's working. And now General Zod has uh, the Man of Steel, Clark Kent himself, Kal-El in a headlock, and Connor's just going to snap his neck at any moment. You know, it's fitting that the Man of Steel snap sort of keeps coming back. You want to kill a Kryptonian? Well, this is how you do it on this planet. It just keeps coming back. Every time I see a Kryptonian or Clark in a headlock, it is a reminder that this is how these guys will go with a neck snap. All right. Let's see here. Wait for Jericho to make his reappearance. Totally unsure about what was going to happen by the end of this episode. Definitely it wasn't 100% sure that Connor was going to snap out of this. No pun intended. That Connor was not going to kill Clark. Like, yeah, that's what should happen, but I can definitely say I wasn't like 100% sure. I was probably 80, 85% sure. 85% sure Connor was not going to do it. But I was by no means like 100% sure that's what was going to happen. Let's just say that for sure. Let's see here. All right. Let's get into the summary of the actual finale. This is the season 4 YJ finale summary, Death and Rebirth. We start out with Connor refuses to kill Clark. A crafty Nightwing faked his death and gets the crew together and flies to Metropolis. The final confrontation goes down in Metropolis. McGann is able to restore Connor's mind. Rocket arrives in the rebuilt time sphere, and General Zod is knocked back into the Phantom Zone. The wedding of the century finally happens as McGann and Connor are married. I conveniently left out that Lord Zod escaped with the time sphere, which was rigged to take him back to the moment the bomb on Mars went off and kills him. It's not all happily ever after, as Clarion insists Vandal Savage acquires every Kryptonian from the Phantom Zone except one, the cousin of Kal-El, Kara Zor-El, aka Supergirl. In the 31st century, Zod was released on Daxam and after 10 years conquered Durla. And we see that at the end of this episode, Ma'ala Falak is released on Daxam. Or is it Durla? He's released on Daxam. And so it's sort of like the timeline is somehow still in motion. Things that happened in the future aren't being negated. They're continuing forward. It's a loop. And anytime you try and change it, it's just going to correct itself. This is a fantastic episode. I love the fight scenes. I was happily surprised when Nightwing sort of just sped out of the Fortress of Solitude. He didn't have to do it so quick, though. They should have, just for like an extra minute or two, like linger on him faking his death and the blood. I like that they called it out as a wrestling maneuver, just cutting your forehead. That was pretty dope. I know JC really liked that part, probably. I wish they would have lingered on it. Just another second, just another minute more. Lingered on it, really milk it, or just milk it for like another minute. And then, yeah, and then he could have come running out What got me was the whole team faking their death. That was good. I really appreciated that. Did not see that one coming. The Nightwing thing, I actually thought, and didn't get a chance to mention this on the show, but when he mentioned slowing down your heart rate, and it was an old Batman trick, I've vaguely remember hearing that somewhere, and I can't say where that came up, but yeah, there was something that sort of I vaguely remembered when Nightwing said he learned that trick from Bruce. And so that callback, I felt like that was really interesting. Interesting. I really like that. Just waiting on Jericho. He's experiencing a little bit of technical difficulties, but as soon as he gets back, we're going to finish our discussion on Young Justice Phantoms. If you have already seen Young Justice Phantoms, you want to talk about the finale, drop your comments or your thoughts in the chat. We want to hear from you guys. But what about that ending? For the longest time, fans have been wondering, Kara, how is she going to get introduced into this universe, the YJ universe? And to everyone's surprise, she shows up here. She was in the Phantom Zone, and now she's being handed over to Darkseid as a trophy. Basically, here are your warriors. Here are your new Furies, and they're going to sort of have their own take on this Supergirl story with Darkseid, sort of being a minion of Darkseid. It's a very common Supergirl story that we've heard and seen before. There's even an animated movie about it. But this time, the Young Justice team, they're definitely going to do a different take on it. They will definitely do a different spin on it, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see exactly how things will plan out with how Brandon Vietti and Greg Wiseman, how they actually want to write the story. I am worried. I am extremely worried because not only does Darkseid have Supergirl as his right hand, but Vandal Savage has an army, and not just any army. It's an army of Kryptonians. We have one Man of Steel, and we have Connor, and that's it. Like those are the only Kryptonians we have. Vandal Savage has hundreds, potentially 1,000 Kryptonians. I don't see how you fight against that, how you plan against that. I could see this next season, should it get announced. If it doesn't get announced, it's because I think there's a trick. I think they may have already greenlit a season 5. They just don't want to tell the fans. Save it for a momentous occasion. It's June. San Diego Comic-Con is in 4 weeks. Let's drop the news at San Diego. That would be um, a really cool thing to do if they would just save the news for San Diego Comic-Con. Hey, Jericho's back. How's it going, man? Oh, you know what? I can't hear you again. Fix it. Are you on mute? Are you on mute? My God, man. All right, he's gonna fix his audio, and yeah, I could easily see a scenario where they're going to give us the announcement at San Diego Comic Con SDCC this year. But again, I want to reiterate, I have no idea, absolutely no idea, how our Young Justice team or how the Justice League are going to be able to take on an army of Kryptonians. Like I feel like this is the worst I've felt after a Young Justice victory. There's nothing to feel good about. you you beat a handful. of Kryptonians, and now there's hundreds of them behind enemy lines, potentially allying themselves with the enemy. Jericho's back. Are your AirPods charged? They're not even charged, my friend. Are you going to show me the charge?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can actually.
Okay, so maybe it's the right one is sucks. Okay,
It's time to buy some new ones.
maybe. All right. So I heard what you were saying about so I was having bad internet connection. It's completely out, so I don't know what happened there.
It happens
So I'm
all
on
the
my phone
time.
now.
There you go.
But you were talking about how you didn't have a good feeling when the season ended, basically,
No,
and
this
I
is the worst I've
totally
felt.
agree. Yeah. Oh, there you go. Yeah,
This
I
is the
totally
absolute
agree.
worst. This might be the absolute worst I've felt um, after any TV series finale or movie where the good guys win.
Yeah.
It's just like how do you like this won't end well.
Right.
I you know having hundreds of Kryptonians, I'm already like thinking in my head like how does this play out? You know me. How does this play out?
Hmm.
I can easily see a scenario where there just won't be any deal that Vandal Savage and Zod will be able to stick to.
Right.
I mean, who's going to be in charge? General Zod's not going to play number two to Vandal Savage. Vandal Savage is not going to be like, I'm not going to kneel to you.
Exactly.
So I could see a thing where, like, he has trouble getting them in line or getting them to go along with his plan.
I agree.
Does he
Yeah.
try?
I mean,
Yeah.
like where do you go from there? And see, but that could also be the advantage that that everyone that all the heroes need. It could be that it might end up being where they have to team up with one of them at least to stop the other person. You know, I would foresee them teaming up with Savage to stop Zod because Zod is more of a newer, and I would think harder person to convince. You know what I mean?
You're thinking the YJ team would team up with Savage.
Right, right, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Like I think it'll just end up coming down to that because, like you said, you have these two alphas who want the same thing. They want to be in charge, and it's going to lead out to an all-out war between them two. But to save the world and pretty much the universe, they need to figure out like let's team up with one of them. Savage, team up with Savage, and even though it probably goes against everything that they stand for, for the Young Justice Squad, but what can you do?
Yeah, what's the lesser of two evils? Because I almost feel like Savage is a bigger threat. I mean, sure, these are a bunch of Kryptonians, but like they don't have any resources at this point. They don't have a planet. They don't have tech. They don't have interstellar travel. You know,
True, true.
like maybe for now, like I don't know. Maybe you back the Kryptonians just to take out Savage. Maybe the writers are doing a thing where like we're gonna use these Kryptonians to fight Darkseid, who's like the biggest threat.
Yeah,
Could that
yeah.
that could be a thing, right?
And the way the show goes, I mean, our predictions do not matter because they will be
Hey, hey, hey,
they will
hey,
be
hey.
either partially correct or 100% incorrect. Like I love that about
I've
the
gotten
show.
some major I've gotten
Yeah,
some decent ones. I was, wrong about Nightwing dying, but wasn't wrong about them trying to convince us that Nightwing was
yeah,
dead.
And
they
I
heard
love,
my pleas, and they ran with it as far as they could.
as much as I hated that that happened. Well, I hated the fact that he, died at least for that week. But and this is one of those shows where it'll happen. Like they kill someone off, and that's it. Like you suck it up. You know what I mean? And you move on. Um, but I part of me did not expect him to come back. I wanted him to come back, but I didn't expect him to come back. Um, and because, like I said, there's some shows it's like, oh no, they can't kill that character off. Like he'll be back, or whatever. And then, or it was too, they didn't, they kind of brushed over it, so that means he's going to come back. Here, they did the same thing where what was it? What the hell's the son's name?
Lore,
Lorzod.
yeah.
And he's just like, oh, I hear the heartbeat is stopped. Like he's dead, and then they just moved on. I'm like, well, that happened. He freaking died. He's done. And but this show is like, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, he's gone. We'll mourn
I'm
after.
I'm trying to remember because that was so specific when that happened in the penultimate episode
Hmm.
that I was just like, okay. Now in my head, I was already in denial, and I'm like, oh, they can just explain that away though.
Yeah.
Um, I remember Batman being able to slow down his heart rate
Hmm.
so that you couldn't hear it, but I do not remember when I heard that. It was probably something in the animated series
It. I
because
don't. Maybe not.
he's faked his death so
Oh
many
yeah.
times in the animated series.
Maybe not in his anime, like in the actual Batman animated series. If anything, it probably happened in the Justice League show, the cartoon.
Probably.
I would imagine because he was a little darker then, or who knows? Maybe it's in one of the hundreds of movies that they've made. But it's definitely been said for sure because
Yes, it
it
has
wasn't a
been.
surprise. You know what I mean? Like when Nightwing mentioned like, oh, Batman taught me, and I was like, yeah, yeah, that's something he does. That's
Yeah,
something he can do.
everybody said that. Everybody was like, "Oh yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah." It was. I'm also gonna double down. It was probably the animated series because there was nothing animated Bruce couldn't do. Dude was a ventriloquist who could throw his voice around. He'd spoken like 50 different languages. He survived the touch of death. There's all these things that he could do that you never knew Batman could do. It's
Yeah,
just like, oh, of course, because it's the animated. It's Kevin Conroy. He can do those
yeah,
things.
exactly.
Nathaniel's in the chat earlier. He said we need to link up, do a review on something. Maybe Stranger Things.
I'm down.
Which I'm just only starting to get Kate Bush's "Running Up That Hill" song out of my head.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
this week is the first week where I've not listened to it on a loop for like 15 hours straight. Every
And
other day though has been just nonstop running up that hill.
I only
What?
started, so I'm behind right on this season. I only started episode 3 yesterday, but I
Mm.
only know that that song was featured and like everywhere because of like TikTok. Like it's all over TikTok, and as it wasn't a spoiler or anything, but yeah, like I get what you mean. Like it's been in a loop in my head pretty much since it came out. Like it's insane.
I went down the Kate Bush rabbit hole, my friend. I looked for everything that I could read or watch or find or listen
Yeah.
to. I didn't know she was discovered by David Gilmour. For those of you
Nice.
kids at home who don't know who David Gilmour is, he's the one of the lead singers and guitar player for Pink Floyd.
That's crazy.
There's even a video of him playing that song with her. David
That's
Gilmour,
awesome.
Kate Bush on the same stage. Bunch of legends.
And her song is like number one after what, 20, 30 years or whatever. Like
Yeah.
that's insane.
Okay,
Oh
so
yeah.
I wanted to look this up because I know it's gonna bug me for a while. Uh oh, maybe this is I don't know if this is it or not. It says that the only reason Batman survives being poisoned is he's able to consciously slow his heartbeat and lower his metabolism, delaying poison effects until he can reach a pharmacy and concoct a way to stave off cyanide using his knowledge of toxicology. I don't know if that was in one of the games or if that was just a random tidbit there.
I'm telling you, it's. I just don't think it was from the animated series. If anything,
It was probably
either
a video
Justice
game.
League or
It's
video
probably
game or one of the
yeah.
movies, one of the
It's
cartoon movies, animated movies.
if AJ was awake, he would probably know. It was probably one of the Arkham
The
games
Arkham,
because
yeah.
he was poisoned in the second one. I want to
Uh,
say by the
well, and
Joker.
even the last one, Arkham Knight, he gets poisoned by Joker, and Joker was like in his subconscious or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like it was confusing how they explained that. But I don't know. There were times where he was like able to um, suppress the toxins and all that, probably just by like inflicting fear into them. I don't know. We'll have to find out. Now I'm gonna have to look it up.
Now we're getting off topic.
Yeah, we are.
What was your favorite part of the wedding?
Oh man, I don't know. I guess like they're it's gonna sound cheesy, but they're vows basically.
Oh,
Like it was really really nice. Like it's unfair how good this show is, and
damn.
how
Yeah.
being an animated show for them to portray that kind of emotion and write it that well. Like yeah, to me the vows, because thinking about the whole season, I guess also because they did the flashbacks, and they it all led up to this. It all led up to again and Connor's relationship led up to this day. And for the longest time we didn't think it was going to happen, and you know what I mean. Like so, this whole season was like tugging at your heartstrings, and then now they finally have the wedding, and they're saying their vows, and they're doing a flashbacks, and I'm just like, oh, that's awesome. That's
There you
amazing
go.
how they did that. But yeah, that's my favorite part of the wedding.
I never even thought about like, oh, we're gonna get this by the end of the season because
Yeah,
we thought Connor was dead. So
yeah.
blah blah blah. Legacy of Nerd is in the chat. He's on YouTube. Welcome, my friend. He says Dark Knight Returns. He did it. Slow down his heart rate. And it's been a while since I've read that.
Yeah.
Or
Oh,
watched
okay.
the Blu-ray version of it. But yeah, I'm gonna take your word for it. I'm
Okay.
sure it is
Thank you.
because that happened. So yeah. Dark Knight Returns, voiced by Peter Weller, RoboCop as Batman.
Mm-hmm.
That was a weird choice, but I'm like, it worked.
It
It
worked. Yeah.
so worked.
And you
What's it
didn't hear
called?
RoboCop the whole time. You heard like Batman. You know what I mean?
Dropper. Yeah, absolutely. Dead or
Oh man.
alive, you're coming with me. Um, yeah, I can't believe we got to 26 episodes of a season 4 when we keep talking about it. We spoke about it. Me and JC spoke about it with Christopher Jones a couple of weeks ago. This show was canceled before season 2 had ended, and all these years later, it's back with a vengeance.
Mm-hmm.
And now, Chris said it best. We have had more episodes after the cancellation than we had prior to the cancellation.
Yeah,
So we've actually, I think he said doubled. We've doubled the number of episodes post cancellation as we did before.
that makes
So
sense. Yeah.
it's fantastic. This format, this season, let's just talk about the season now in general. We weren't sure how it was going to work out. We weren't sure what the plan was. It was a very new concept, not just for YJ fans, but it was a very new concept for anybody who just watches animated shows.
Mm-hmm.
Name me an animated show focused on a team where it's broken up into these segments where we just focus
For
on
real. Yeah.
one main character at a time. It's never been done before. This is groundbreaking stuff.
And I
And I
think that
enjoyed
was
the hell out of it.
I was gonna say, I think that's another reason why season four is my favorite because of that, and I think the increased amount of episodes allowed them to do so as well.
Sure.
Um, Without maybe if they had less episodes, maybe like one arc wouldn't have been there or something, or it just could have changed the whole dynamic. But um, yeah, I really enjoyed the fact that they were able to do so, and each arc, I mean, they're just intertwined so well, and you didn't need like if you missed one arc, you pretty much got caught up on the next one. You know what I mean? Like it. So I thought it was really, really well written, well done.
Legacy of Nerd says the pod format threw me off for sure. Yeah, absolutely. And to me, it only shows you how great this production team is because all of these threads, all of these subplots, and somehow by the final arc, Nightwing's arc, it all comes together seamlessly,
Mhm.
effortlessly. All these things that they've been going through, talking about, all these callbacks, all these references, it all just made total sense. And everything that you saw in the earlier arcs, it comes back and it helps push the narrative forward. It helps push the story forward. There's so many elements that help, drive new thoughts and ideas. In the finale, when the magic school bus just came flying out of nowhere, and I think it hits lore. Maybe it just
Mhm.
runs into lore, and we're not sitting around here thinking like, oh, why did that just happen? Why did he just get hit with a
Right.
school bus? We know exactly why he got hit with a school bus because that's the vessel. That's the magic vessel which travels through dimensions.
Oh man.
And yeah, it's just so freaking good.
That
Legacy.
that bus became like a running joke event, at one point. It just kind of became a running gag through the show. But it
I'm
worked. It freaking
I'm
worked.
al- I'm borderline upset that when it passed through the void and it didn't call out what it was, that I didn't have a thought that that was the Phantom Zone.
Yeah.
I should have. I should have like, huh, that's weird. They're not giving us a name. At that point, did we didn't know Clark was in the Phantom Zone. Sorry, Connor.
Connor. No.
We didn't know Connor, right? So, but I should have just it should have all even when that happened.
Well,
Look, it's all the little details that come back, and it just I don't know how you write stuff like this with so many moving parts all at once.
yeah. That's what I liked about it too, because I'm telling you, that was one of the biggest surprises for me, the reveal of the Phantom Zone, because I just never thought about it. Like even when they were passing through the void, anything, I just never thought like, oh, we're gonna see the Phantom Zone at some point throughout the show. Never occurred to me. And then seeing
Me
it,
neither.
even we were watching before we realized it was the Phantom Zone. It didn't click. This is the Phantom Zone. Like
Yeah.
because we've never seen. I don't think we've seen an animated version like this. I don't remember if the Superman show or any of the Justice League shows ever touched on it, but um, we've never seen it like this. You know what I mean? It was always more of like in Smallville and uh, Supergirl. Even in the movies, it's always been like I don't know. It didn't look like this. I get like a lot, basically like a lit up planet kind of deal. Like they were in space. Like it was always an actual like planet. Like ground and everything. Or
It
here they
kind of
had aliens and everything, or whatever monsters running through.
it kind of reminded me of a microverse, like sort of Ant Man's
Okay.
quantum realm,
Yeah.
like a subatomic level, and that even made more sense when you had this sort of creature, which just could be tiny microorganism
Yeah.
looking thing. That's what they look like, anyways. They look like that monstrosity thing that tried to kill Connor.
Yeah.
Legacy Nerd says my favorite was Calder's arc. But I
Oh,
like
okay.
the background story of Savage in Zatanna's. Yes, no, I. That's
Definitely.
another reason why season 4 is so. impressive was the amount of lore that you got for Savage, for Zatanna, for her dad Zara,
Hmm.
for Atlantis. I mean, just across the board, the lore that they stretched and built was all the way from like the beginning of man. It was like Savage
For real,
all the
yeah.
way to the Lords of Chaos and Order. It's just like how did you put so much DC lore into one season? It should have been exhausting. What can we put in here now? Like it should have been exhausting the amount of things they thought about to include, but they all did it because it was all necessary. It was all
Yeah.
necessary to help the audience get all the way to the end. And I still don't think we're done with the Lords of Chaos and the Lords of Order.
Oh no. Mm.
Savage still has some big evil plan regarding those cats. So yeah, even even Clarion somewhat came back in the end as he's
Yeah.
helping to get all these Kryptonians out of the Phantom Zone. Oh, that Clarion.
That's but that's again, that's what I like about it too. Like the because even in the previous episode or the previous seasons, like we said, they didn't have as many episodes, but the stories still worked out. They were able to kind of go back and forth. I know this is the first time they've had these arcs like this, but every detail in the past seasons was always vital. They never there was never filler episodes. There was never throwaways or anything. Like everything was important, and this season allowed that to happen even more. And it was never tiring or like you said, exhausting or anything. Like it was just like it worked, and it made you want more. And it's so biased when it comes to this show, but I absolutely love it.
Is it a bias? Like we're just observing how complex these stories are, and yet they make sense. They make so much sense when they shouldn't.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean, they brought out did they have to bring out the trolls that put the bus back together? Did
exactly.
they have to do that? No, but, like,
No.
in the realm of Young Justice, sure, we'll go along with that. We've had everything else this season. We can
And
believe
then they came
trolls
back, didn't
that could
they?
put a school bus back together.
Yeah, they didn't they come
One
back
of them
at the
ran
very
by
end.
in the wedding, yeah.
There you go. Yeah. See, I mean, like if they didn't have that, and let's just say a random troll or gremlin or whatever like runs by, like you wouldn't care. But knowing why they were important, and didn't they, as payment, didn't they get to take was it Nightwing's SUV, right?
Yeah, pretty
He was so
much,
mad.
and they, like, took off in the thing too.
Hmm.
Um, Legacy Nerd says, "They did Lore Zod so dirty, lol." He's referring to at the end, Metron gets his revenge, and I love the entire setup. I
Yeah,
love
that
the
was.
I love the setup, and then this is how we need to start thinking about this show. It's not like the MCU try to explain away time travel and stuff where like things can exist in their own separate universe like a
Hmm.
branch off. It feels like everything in this universe now that we're actually dealing with time travel is finite, is a closed loop, meaning like everything happens within the universe very back to the future rules
Right.
because we thought we saw the remains of Connor in the explosion on Mars, which ended up being Lorzad.
Yeah.
And then when they started talking about how other planets were taking over in the 31st century, Zod was released on Daxam, and then after 10 years, he conquered Durla. Well, we see Ma'alafalak at the end being given the planet of Durla, I
Hmm.
believe. Um, and now that's going to get conquered, isn't it? So it kind of just feels like the events that we know and the events that they're trying to prevent from happening are still going to happen.
Right.
Like this is fate. This is destiny. You can't escape that. It's very Back to the Future, very Harry Potter 4, 3
Hmm.
rules. I'm not
Three, I
sure which
think.
one it was when they started time traveling and kept running into themselves. But yeah, that's an interesting concept. So
Even
it
even like in What If with the Doctor Strange episode, like these were absolute events that had
right.
to happen. Yeah, it's crazy.
Absolutely. So I mean, this show doesn't do anything for nothing. Everything means something. Everything has a purpose. And so if you're trying to tell us that there are just some things that are inevitable, and I mean, listen, we should not have gotten Lord Zod's death and saw his remains in the cave
Mhm.
unless this was a closed loop, you know?
Yeah,
Like this was it's so trippy. It's Bill and Ted rules.
exactly.
It's Bill and Ted rules where the future already happens and it's affecting the past, and so you're already experiencing it in the past. I hope I'm not going over anybody's head while I'm talking about this, but here's what I'm trying to get at. I feel like we're in some very dark days. We've had some very happy ending seasons,
Hmm.
and this one, we took some risks. Not we, but the writing team took some risks where things got pretty heavy for a second, and I think we're probably due for a not so happy ending coming up. And Wally is still in the back of everybody's minds. I'm pretty sure he will make a return at some point.
I hope so.
And I think the reason you would also need a Wally to return is because things could probably get really, really bad. And your last ditch effort will be to just rewrite the timeline.
Yeah.
The timeline itself is a closed loop. Things that are inevitable are going to happen, but the only way to sort of undo those things is not time travel, but just like hitting reset. That could be ballsy, that could be bold, and it's also not out of the realm of possibility because DC does this kind of thing all the time.
Oh yeah.
Marvel, I don't think Marvel does. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I just don't read as many Marvel comics as I do DC. But DC hits the reset button like frequently.
It's a thing. Yeah, it's a DC
Yeah.
thing. Even the recent DC Justice League animated movie came out like last year or the year before. The one with Constantine and
Yep. Justice League,
I mean that
Dark, something else.
Dark
Apocalypse War.
World or yeah, like that one was dark, and so much craziness went on and chaos and everything. And at the end, you just see them like completely defeated, and it could have ended there. But then Flash was like, "I know what I need to do," and
Legacy Nerd says
spoiler.
Legacy Nerd says Crisis on Infinite Earth is coming. Introducing Supergirl and the Legion could be clues for that. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about that. Actually,
This
I forgot they came out.
I was mentioning earlier, this Supergirl as Darkseid's minion is a very familiar story arc that we've seen before or read before. But they will definitely take some twists and turns
Yeah,
that we're not expecting. But I'm very excited to see where that goes.
me
Very,
too, for
very
real.
excited. Very nice. Any final thoughts, Jericho, on Young Justice?
No, man, I'm looking forward to season 5. Hopefully, we don't have to wait crazy long time for that, but I'm down to wait as well because I don't want to rush it. I don't want to rush anybody, but that was just. I mean, again, this is my favorite season. So much went on, and so many. jaw dropping moments, and you know what I mean. Like I even told y'all in a group chat, like an animated show like this should not put me on an emotional roller coaster like that. I mean that
Emotional
just
damage.
exactly just that whole last two episodes, the whole final battle, everything like I was just like in awe, and so I haven't seen a show, movie, or whatever that is able to do this consistently, um, and without it being over the top or underwhelming. It's just whelmed. All right, yeah, I finally said as much as it annoyed me. I finally
Whelmed,
said
trot, feeling the mode,
it.
feeling the aster.
But it's a great show. I love it.
It's a great show, and it's not ending yet. If you didn't catch um, our interview with Young Justice animator Christopher Jones. You can
Hmm.
check so on our. You can watch that video on our YouTube page. He not only works on the show, but he also worked with Greg Wiseman on the new tie-in comic, Young Justice Targets. Issue number one's already out on digital. You can get it on Comixology, Amazon, or the DC Universe, and it should be hitting store shelves pretty soon. Don't quote me on that, but yeah, gonna be hitting store shelves. Have it right here. July 26th.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So if you need the physical copy, July 26th is when you can grab Young Justice Targets. It's a limited series, only 6 issues, but when we spoke with Christopher Jones about it, it was it was very evident that it was a very familiar story regarding Princess Perdita
Hmm.
being kidnapped or attempted to be kidnapped by um oof 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 man, oh man, oh man, by the villain named, I'm not gonna get it. It was an animated short they did for Green Lantern, not Green Lantern, Green Arrow a few years back,
Okay.
and Vertigo. Sorry, Vertigo. Ha ha ha!
Oh,
Figured it
okay.
out.
Nice.
And when I mentioned that to Chris, he says, "You think you know what this story is, but you have no idea." And when Chris tells me that, I will absolutely believe every word he says.
Yep.
So this is going to be their twist. Vertigo, Legacy Nerd said as well. This will be their twist on that sort of familiar story. That was a DC. They didn't call them one shots. Um, Showcase. It was a DC showcase for Green Arrow. You can find that animated short on YouTube. Actually, just search up DC Showcase Green Arrow. Watch that episode. It's probably 10, 12 minutes long, maybe, and you'll see the
Were,
Young Justice take on it.
were these the ones that were part of the Arrowverse, or was it the one that had? Well, it doesn't matter. Like I can look it up, but
These weren't the Arrowverse ones.
okay. So I think maybe I'm thinking of the other one where it was like 4 or 5 short films, and yeah, I think it was like less than 20 minutes each, something like that.
Yeah, these showcases I say a few years ago, but they were probably more like '07, '09,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
were
then
they
it
were
is
a
the one
while
I'm
back,
thinking of.
or 2012 perhaps. But yeah, I'm excited because I know that story, but this one, they're gonna have some major twists, some major turns, and yeah, it's gonna be exciting. Cool. I know we mentioned talking about Superman and Lois, but I'm gonna break JC's heart if we talk about it without him.
That's fine. That's fine. Yeah, we
Can
can
I
wait.
just we can wait to get into it. Legacy of Nerd says I'm thinking of that episode in season one with Wally. Ooh, what about it? Was there one with Vertigo? Probably. I can't really remember that far back.
Yeah, have to rewatch it all.
Here's what I'll do. We're not going to talk in depth about it, but I just want to kind of broadly talk about Superman and Lois. Um, I kind of mentioned to you earlier that not a lot happens in every episode, and that's not a criticism.
Hmm.
I think it's such a relaxing pace that they do their episodes in. Every episode is a very relaxing, steady pace where like there's some action. There's never anything that too above and beyond. We're never gonna get like a start to finish action episode of Superman and Lois.
Right, I agree.
Um, but there's also you don't have to take so much information in because there's not a ton happening like every single second. I think that's one of the things I'm sort of disliking about the Flash series is that so much happens in every single episode. So many characters, so many villains, so many subplots that you don't understand where they're going. It's sort of the opposite of Young Justice, where like things happen that won't ever come back again.
Yeah,
They just do things, and then it's like we're never gonna see that again. But you got to see it this time, and it's like, nah, man,
we'll
nah.
definitely have to review because we used to review it back in the day
We
when we first
used
started
to.
out, and we just got super busy. But also the show, I would say, only recently started going downhill. I still watch
Uh,
it. I like it a lot, but I get what you're saying. Yeah, but no, but I agree with Superman and Lois. You know, like with this. So I was telling you earlier. It turns out I'm behind 3 episodes now, two because I
only
was able to
two,
watch
right?
one earlier. But when I realized I was behind three instead of two, like I was starting to watch the what is it, 13? I guess I was starting to watch episode 13, and none of it made sense to me because I'm like, oh, this stuff didn't happen. When how did I miss that? Like, did I fall asleep when I was watching it? Because I usually watch it when I'm in bed.
Yes, yes, you
Um,
did.
and so I'm like, no, 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 let me, because that was a lot of information. And I went back. I'm like, okay, cool. So, but it didn't. It felt good watching it because it's not one of those shows where I'm like, oh, I'll just skip it and I'm sure I'll catch up. You know what I mean? But like you said, not a lot of stuff happens, but enough important stuff happens to where you should watch it instead of like skipping an episode, or two. Um, yeah, and the Flash is definitely the opposite. Um, but what I saw, I really liked, and I still plan on watching the 13 and 14. That way by tomorrow, yeah, tomorrow, right, will be the finale, season finale.
Tomorrow's the finale. It's Superman and
Oh
Lois
man,
season 2 finale.
nice. That's
And
awesome.
yeah, you know what's hilarious is I was thinking in my head like you could skip like a week of Superman and Lois and sort of be caught up
Hmm.
because they don't take leaps forward in the story, you know? There's still things that are kind of happening arcs over 2, 3, 4 episodes.
Yeah.
Flash, even when I watch it week to week, I'm just like, did I miss something? Who is this person? Every week is like that. I
Well,
don't get it. You
I'm
know
telling
what's
you, with the daughter, they didn't mention her for like half a season. And I'm like, where's the daughter? And then they mention her. And I get it, pandemic, all this stuff. It's a baby. Or by this point, I think, didn't they say she's starting kinder now? I'm like, how is she starting kinder? They just had her like last season.
you
So
know,
I don't know
you
what's going on.
know. For me it's not even, and we're not trying to bash
Yeah.
on the Flash for you guys who are huge Flash fans. I'm glad AJ's asleep right now, or else he'd be mad at me. But yeah, like this season, I don't know if you're caught up this season, but like
Hmm.
the villain, like the main big bad earlier this season was like a cloud monster. And I'm just like, we're lost. We're getting some lost cloud monsters in here. I was like, this is not going to be good. I know this is not going to be good. And sure enough, like that was a thing for a few weeks, and
It was
I
an
hate when
anticlimactic ending to it. Like I was like,
yeah,
did they just defeat him? And then
he did.
now, next
There,
episode, there was still like 20 minutes left in the episode, and I was like, wait, was that it? That was the end of it? And now they're moving on. Next villain.
I don't understand.
I don't want to hate
I
it. I don't.
I don't want to either. You know what it feels like sometimes, because also there's some weeks where like you don't see all the main cast.
Yeah,
You know, one week we might even see Barry, and it's not even like, oh, he's in a coma. It's just like he just didn't show up this
he
week.
just exactly.
And it's almost like you want to give them credit where they're doing like a Young Justice deal where like everybody has their
Yeah,
time to shine, but it's not organized. Like if it was organized, I'd give you some credit. It just feels like, oh, we gave him the week off and stuff. I don't know.
like even, and I know we're not gonna keep talking about it, but like even what was it with Bart and uh Ira? No, what the hell's the daughter's
Nora?
name? Nora. Like their episode. I don't know if you saw that one. Like the whole casino and the royal gang again.
Yeah.
I actually enjoyed that episode. Like it
Yeah.
had, I think we hardly, I don't remember if we ever saw Flash, maybe like at the very end of it or something. But it was a really good episode. But this whole time sickness, like I don't remember how it started. I think they actually forgot how it started, and now they're kind of like trying to explain it, but I don't think they understand it at all. And now there's anti forces. I want to love the show. I want to have that spark from the, no pun intended, from when it first started. After like the fourth season, fifth season, maybe it's kind of gone downhill for me. Maybe sooner for you. I don't know, but
I guess whenever the Crisis crossover event happened,
pretty much, yeah,
because that was supposed to be like the final season of Flash was dealing with that crisis, and
yeah.
they pushed it up because Stephen Amell was like, "Hey guys, I'm out," but
Mm-hmm.
not mad at him for it. It was a great event, but then like
Oh yeah,
everything after that's been weird. Or
yes.
it's like what's the white villain, Godspeed?
Godspeed, yeah.
Sometimes
That
they
went on too
defeat
long.
him. Well, it's weird. Like sometimes they'll defeat him, right? And I'm like, cool, we got him, team. And then like next week, there's 50 of him. I'm just like, what the? What is
Uh,
happening? What do you mean?
and
Oh
with their
man.
CGI budget, they
Ah,
shouldn't
it's
be
ooh
adding more
ah.
clones in there. Like, no, we're gonna have to do an entire episode just recapping the past few seasons, recapping
I
what we
can't.
don't like about it now.
I could not. You know how I write summaries and all that for all these shows that we talk about? I can literally not do it for The Flash. I
It's
literally
so
could not.
confusing. Yeah,
I can't keep up. I don't know how the writers keep up. How are you
they
doing
don't.
this?
They haven't been able to.
Yeah.
Like that's why it's so confusing.
I'm sure there's people that love it and like they enjoy
Yeah,
it and it makes total sense to them. I'm letting you know it is exhausting trying to keep up with the show.
yeah. And you and I, we're day oneers, right? We've been watching this show since day one. I
Absolutely.
huge fan of it. I mean, AJ became a huge fan of it, but after a while, it was like, and I think, yeah, I think you're right. After the crisis on Infinite Earths, I think it was supposed to reset everything basically, and one Earth, one universe now, and that didn't really translate into Superman and Lois because that's confusing too. Um, and then I don't know, I don't know.
It it's really it's really hysterical when like they come across a new villain who has unique new abilities and powers, and they're just like, "Oh yeah, that's this and that, and we can do this and this." And I'm just like, "You've never met this guy before. How would you even know that?"
Exactly. Even with
It's
Cisco was on the show,
you know what?
he
That's when it
was like the
really went
smartest
down.
one.
That's when
Yeah.
it really went down. I'm not, and again, I'm not even bashing the rest of the
No.
cast. I'm just saying, like, at least with Cisco, you can get away with some of that crap. But
Yeah.
like,
Like everyone except Iris is amazing, and I think, and I have passion, hatred for her, for the character, not for the actress. Um, but yeah, ever since Cisco left, I think he even came back briefly, if I'm not mistaken, for like an episode or half an episode. But Chester's great, he's cool, but he's very one one dimension. Whereas Cisco, I guess because he's been there since day one as well, he
yeah,
was able to develop quite a bit. We're getting way off topic. We're supposed to be talking
way
about Superman Lois.
we should be. I just want to say to Candice Patton, who plays
Hmm.
Iris West Allen on the Flash TV series, you're okay by me. It's just this guy that
Again,
has a
it's
problem. That guy.
nothing to do with her as an actress. It's the character.
I don't
You're my
understand.
lightning rod. We're Team Flash. I'm like, what?
Okay, look, that's are you caught up with the show? Are
I
you
am,
caught
yeah,
up?
I am.
when when Barry's telling Eobard and this new
Oh my
girl,
goodness.
like, oh, all you have to do to not go bad is to think about your lightning rod. I'm just like,
Hmm.
shut up. What are we
That's ever
talking
since that
about?
whole thing. I'm telling you, there's events where they keep going back to, and like you said, like everything's just so easy for them now. It's like, oh, we have this new, like you said about the new villain, like, oh, we can take care of him, this, and this. Yeah, you can transfer your powers, you can share your powers, your newly acquired powers that you don't even know how to use. You can transfer them to the guy that has been my mortal enemy since day one, but I trust him now because he told me his story and I never believe anyone, but I believe him this time.
Oh
But yeah,
God.
listen to my voice and just focus on your love for each other. Yeah, yeah, that works.
And then
That's how it works.
even just the thought of transferring your powers, like he's never used them. He's never he's forgotten everything.
Yeah,
What would giving your powers to a complete novice do to help you? He would just be tripping
she
over himself. He'd
she
be
she was struggling as it is with Barry's training, and I don't know
yes.
how long she had been training with him. But then, oh yeah, Eobard, let's give him a ring that has the outfit and his costume in there, and because he's going to know how to activate it and he's going to know how to quickly get in there. um and then yeah, the three of us will take on the anti forces, and we're good. We're good. Well, didn't end well, did it? No pun intended, because I said well. um
Wells. It ends wells.
it
All's
all
wells that
ends,
end
there you
wells.
go, that's what it is. We're going to definitely have to have an episode,
I don't
even if
want
it's
to.
like a I'll do one on my own.
I'll be on it and I'll listen. I don't want to see a thing. I'm just gonna listen.
Oh man.
Oh man.
Oh, and I know we're again going back to Superman Lois, but you know what really made me mad too? Diggle. Diggle comes out and
Wow. Oh
he's like, hey
my
man, I
god.
didn't want this crap at all. I'm not ready for it. It's
Oh
not something I want.
my
And I
god.
get it. Hey, you're choosing your family over protecting the universe. I get that.
I don't. You're a Green Lantern. You better go get that.
Oh, but that was terrible. That was terrible.
What in the hell? I was sitting look, AJ was mad about that too. So for the guy who loves the show, he was pissed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um yeah, I was sitting on the couch and I was out loud saying, "What the hell?" What the hell? What the hell is this? And AJ was on the other couch going, I know, I know, I know. What would be the point? What is the point? Here's my only
So-
thought. Here's my only thought. Listen, listen. If anybody, if there's even a 1% chance that somebody wrote this because it means something, then maybe the ring that he throws is a ring that shows up in the Green Lantern core series.
yeah,
That's the 1% chance of why you would write this subplot randomly into a Flash series that doesn't need it.
yeah.
That's the only thing I can think of. Other than that, zero reason for you to do this.
Because I could see that happening. They're like, we're gonna have a Lantern Core show, and CW is not gonna do anything with it. Like it's not gonna be successful if we have one Green Lantern or whatever. So let's let HBO have them. But still, that was so much teasing and so much missed opportunities there. Like, there's no need for him to come back anymore at
No,
all.
I
Um,
I am shocked. Like you would be better off not bringing him back and
yeah,
telling us that plot line went nowhere.
yeah,
Yeah, it just I it's craziness.
I agree.
All right.
Back to
W-
Superman and Lois.
Back to Superman. I'm just kidding.
The one thing I didn't like about episode 12, I feel like with what's her name, Sarah, and the whole music, I feel like that was just added recently. If that makes sense, like I don't think they like I felt like they kind of maybe got comments about her character and her development, and they're like, well, let's do something to make her relevant. Like she's not with
yeah.
Jordan anymore. Um, let's do something to make her relevant, and let's give her this story. Um, so I kind of didn't like that part, but maybe it'll have a payoff.
Sorry. I got to actually bring up one last thing
Go for it.
about Diggle.
Okay.
Bum 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 bum. Breaking news. Bum 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 bum. This is John Diggle on the set of Superman and Lois.
Oh my goodness.
Mr. John Stewart Diggle will be in the finale of
Okay,
Superman and Lois.
but I'm sure there's a good reason for it.
I'm sure there's not.
But I don't understand. No, I'm kidding. We're not going
Oh,
to
you
start
know
one.
what? Oh, I get it now. I mean, I think I get it now. Okay, so if you remember, uh, Diggle is supposed to move forward in the Arrowverse. They're developing this TV show with him where he's running some sort of like superhero school.
Oh, is that still a thing?
I think it's still a thing.
Okay.
They just haven't talked about it. So this whole like get away from the Green Lantern ring thing, it could just be setting up that series, which
That would be the only
sure
explanation that actually makes sense then.
uh, does make a little sense, but
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even think that series is like coming up really soon. You could have just done all this
Yeah.
as prelude to the actual start of the series instead of
Well,
ripping our hearts out. during the Flash.
Because okay, because think of it like this: if he, so let's say the show does go through, like, because I don't know where it's at status wise, but let's say it
Sure.
gets picked up and all that, they will have to address it at one point. But I would rather it happen now, because then, let's say the show doesn't come out for another year or two, we're gonna have to see Diggle, and then we're gonna be wondering the whole time, like, well, what has he been doing this whole time? He hasn't been Green Lantern. You know what I mean? So now it's like, rip the band-aid off. Just let's get it over with. He didn't want to do it
Fine.
after all. But
Fine.
still, I don't want to justify it, but still.
I don't want to either, but now it makes a 2% chance of making sense. Now it's
Yeah.
2%. It makes a little sense if they do it that way. Okay.
Oh
I
man.
think we're done.
Yeah. Because more stuff just popped into my head about the Flash, and I'm like, no, let's move on.
Mm, definitely not. Hey, listen, folks. We're on TikTok, and Jericho loves TikTok, but he hasn't started following us yet. So, does he really love TikTok? Does he
I
really? I
will
don't know
need
if he
to start
does.
following.
He
When
really
did we
should.
start a TikTok?
Been at least a week.
A week. Like you. Sorry, my bad. It didn't come up on my For You page, so I'll have to find it.
Absolutely. Listen, folks, we're on TikTok. Check out some of our videos, some of the events we've done so far, some of my adventures as a nonprofit Ghostbuster member, serving good across the city. And then we're also promoting our new clothing line, our
Dun, dun,
nostalgia
dun.
line, which you could find on Redbubble at Countdown City Geeks. Go to our Facebook page or Twitter. Click, click on our Linktree link, and the second link on our Linktree is for our new nostalgia clothing line. It's all Countdown City Geeks wear. You could check it out by yourself or your family, and a T-shirt with one of our fantastic new designs that are all sort of themed around some of our favorite movies and franchises. I'm gonna pull them up.
They're really, really cool.
I'm gonna pull them up here. Pull them up here and share. Yeah, so check it out. Check out the brand new Countdown City Geekcast clothing line on Redbubble. We got our indie shirt, we got our wrestling superstar shirt. I don't know if I can say names out, so I won't do it. We also got our stranger themed shirt. We got our sort of Star Warsian themed shirt. The one on the right, I like to call Run CCG. Check that one
That
out.
one
I
has to
love
be
that
my
one.
favorite.
I love that one. It's so cool. And then we have our classic logo shirt. Click on them, and you can just find different variations or styles of it. As I'm talking about, click on the thing, and then they pull up different colors. You can get them in. Ooh, look at that! Look how fantastic it looks with that blue. Um,
And these were models that said he found on
Absolutely.
Craigslist.
They did a great job. They did a
They
great job.
did.
And then you can
It
actually
actually looks really good.
choose, yeah, you can choose different styles of the shirt. Go long sleeve, active, a longer t-shirt for you taller gentlemen or ladies who are not me and Jericho. Baseball, 3/4 sleeve shirt. Check that out. V-neck. I might get me a V-neck logo tee. Yeah. So yeah, check them out. Choose a color, choose a style. Everything you do supports the show, and we appreciate you immensely. So that'll do it for this episode of the Countdown to the Geekcast. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Check out the store this week. Going to be dropping some stickers on there for you and the kids. Some other accessories, mouse pads, whatever else. Um, very excited to be finally launching the store after such a long time of waiting. But yeah, it looks fantastic, and we're all very excited. For the Countdown to the Geekcast, my name is Steady. Joining me as always, the greatest guy of all time, the legendary, the one and only, the superb, Thunder from Down Under, Jericho.
Later, y'all. Thanks for joining us, and it was great to be back on an episode after a while. But yeah, this is a lot of fun. Be back soon.
Have a good night, folks.